Here we go. Chris, how are you?
Good, good.
Good. This is a new episode of the SuccessGrid podcast. So, welcome to a new episode of the SuccessGrid podcast. We are going live. So, my guest today is Chris Lamuglia. This is how you spell your last name, Chris?
Lalomia, Lalomia.
Lamuglia. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
He's a successful entrepreneur that has built on his experience working with the largest companies in the US to start his own business from scratch. So basically, you are going from the corporate zoo into the entrepreneurial wide, right?
I did.
So so tell us a little bit about your journey there, because from my experience now interviewing a bunch of entrepreneurs, actually, like maybe 50% of them worked in corporate, like I do now still, and I will be venturing out hopefully soon enough. So why do we what happens? Why don't we stay in corporate? What happens? Why do when we go outside of corporate? Why do we want to have our own wild adventure, as you call it?
Right. For me, I would tell you that I've always wanted to run my own business since the time I was 17. But I took off from the university after I got my master's in mechanical engineering. I went to work in manufacturing and had a pretty successful run. And I stayed in the corporate America world because it was comfortable. I had the 401k, I had the healthcare benefits. I was able to gain success pretty early on, but I didn't feel like I was completely challenged. I wasn't using my whole brain. I was only using a very small part of it. And I felt like I wasn't really doing things for the greater good. When I say greater good, trying to find your why, it wasn't that I was trying to solve world hunger or come up with world peace or try to give back to the world. What I just meant was I just didn't feel like I was making an impact on as many people as I thought I could.
Mm.
So I was restless. I was 37 at the time when I started the company. I started a handyman business. I left the wild world of finance, which it's not wild, it's banking, so it's pretty conservative.
Yeah, you
It's
can
the
tell me
zoo.
about that. Okay.
Yeah, I knew you knew that. So I left and started a handyman business, and today, 14 years later, I now have 32 employees. We do small stuff around the house, but we also do full scale remodeling, such as bathrooms and kitchens and decks. And I like that I got a chance to bet on me and see if I could actually do what I thought I could do. And you could say that I'm a success, definitely not an overnight success. It was a lot of bumping, rumbling, stumbling, falling in pits, getting crushed, out in the wild world of running your own business.
Mm.
But now I look at it and go, I feel like it was worth it, but it was tough.
But why did you decided to go and make this leap, and you decided that it's worth it? Is it about, let's say, the money, or like you mentioned also there's an impact? And what do you mean exactly by impacting people? Do you want to help more people be better in whatever that you are doing?
So I wanted to make more of an impact on people in their lives and see a tangible benefit. Now I have 32 employees, but literally I have 64. And you could probably say that most of them have 2 children. So now I'm impacting 32 families. When we work in people's houses, I know that we're doing it the right way and doing things correctly. And you get to see that self-satisfaction of knowing that you brought to these people a well-run company that's doing things the right way. So that satisfaction meant a lot. Yeah, I thought I was going to make a lot of money. Don't sugarcoat it. My projections and my pro forma were completely off. My net percentages were completely wrong. Basically, I was running not even half of what my net was in my pro formas. It's even less. It's a pretty razor thin business, and you've got to run it really tight to be able to do the things you want to do successfully. But for me, it was to make that jump. I often say that we run from pain and go to pleasure. I tell people don't ever run away from something, run to something. But what started this movement for me was I just had a really bad boss. He was driving me nuts, making my life miserable. We
all have that one person, at least one.
Right. We all have that one boss hole, as they like to say here. And he got me charged up so much that I went, that's it. I can't live like this anymore. I have to go be out and be my own guy.
Yeah, exactly. So when you were going through the journey in the beginning, what did you define as success for you when you were starting out? Did you define it by the numbers of profits and money coming in, or did you define it by, for example, how many people you are working with? What exactly, how did you see yourself as a success?
That's a great question. My definition of success in the beginning, coming from the banking world like you are, I really track numbers. And so my success was top line revenue. My success was gross profit. And then my next success was the net profit. And I wanted to grow and I invested in it. So I wanted to break even within 16 months. I wanted to get to the numbers I wanted to, I needed to have 6 technicians, 6 handymen working for me. And that was my beginning. So I didn't make it in 16 months. I was completely wrong. It took me almost 24 months to start breaking even because I started right before the big recession in 2008. That's right when I started the business. So that didn't work. My top line was growing like I thought. Literally, I was behind. I had a 5-year growth plan that I had developed in my pro forma, and I was behind by about 2 years. At the end of 5 years, I was behind about 1 year. So that made me feel good on the top line. It made me feel good at the number of people I had. I was not feeling too good about my gross profit and my net profit, though, which are the big numbers sometimes.
So you were beginning at that time when the 2008 real estate market in the US happened and obviously affected the whole world at the time. So why did you think this is now a good time to start a business when there is a lot of things are going wrong in the economy in the States and maybe globally at the time? And did you see yourself a success at the time because all of these are happening at the same time?
It did not feel successful at the time. When you look back on it, and I wrote a book, and it's called From the Zoo to the Wild. But the reason I started writing that book and publishing it was I kept making jokes. When I write my book, I'm going to tell people you should start during a recession because if you can handle it then,
Okay.
yeah. But let me tell you, it makes it really hard. And right now in the U.S. here in 2022, we're looking at technically while we're in a recession, things are looking pretty mild in as terms of how it's happening. I would say it's still a good time to think about starting because if you can get your business operating correctly and get it where you want it to be and watch your numbers, that in theory, and this is what happened to me as the economy started to come back in 2011, 2012, 2013, I started to really start to rise up as well. And that's where I started to really start to rise above the rest of the people doing the work we do.
Yeah. So when you started back with all this chaos, I think maybe. So did you have some kind of a plan? Did you put a plan written, or do you have someone helping you at the time? Were you alone doing it? How did your plan turned out after, like, let's say, you mentioned 18 months, but how did you see it going at the time of the plan, if you have one?
So I had a plan. I still have the original business plan that I wrote. I actually put this in my book. I think everybody should have a business plan, not because you need to write a paper and get a grade on it and hopefully you pass the test. It's that you can use this to bounce off great questions off great people and get great advice. And I did that. So I felt like I had a good plan like I told you, where I missed was the pro forma, but I really was able to nail down the right marketing strategy, the right go-to-market strategy, coming up with the right name with the right logo. It's called the Trusted Toolbox here in Atlanta, which worked out pretty well. So after I do this every year, I always go back and relook at my business plan, and I now look out 3 years. I look at 1 year, and then I look at quarterly because now I have a team in place that has to work on it. I want to rally them around those goals as well. I was optimistic, and I felt good about the top line. I felt good about the processes. I felt good about the technology I was putting in place to get me where I wanted to be. I was just doing a really crappy job of estimating and selling jobs. I was good at selling them. I was really bad at pricing them. And so that meant my margins were even worse than they were supposed to be.
You have to put that, you have to adapt with them. But this is the good thing about having a plan. The plan is not supposed to be, it's not, I think it's about, it's a success or a failure. It's there to have a roadmap. And this roadmap, you can direct it as you like going along. You can adapt with time. after, for example, 6 months, you're not seeing it working with certain strategy or tactic, you can amend it and work with something different, right? This is the beauty of the plan, that it's not static, it should be flexible.
Exactly right. I've heard people use this concept. I did not do it, and that is establish a board of directors and people who hold you accountable for staying to your plan. And so I didn't have that necessarily, but I do have 3 very close mentors. And what I would do is I would update my plan, and then I would go back and I would ask the guy who was really good with financials to review the financials. Here was my plan. This is what I'm doing. And that's where I was able to get the feedback that, well, dude, you're just not charging enough, man. And you're not going to make any money if you keep that up. You got to raise your rates. You got to raise the way you're doing things. That's one. On marketing, I had a really good person who was helping me with that along the way as well. And I would say, okay, this is where I spent money this year to grow the business. And this is what I'm going to do going forward. And he said, you might want to talk to these people. And I've had to shift and pivot as I've started. 14 years ago, Google was not the size it is today. 14 years ago, phone books were still going pushed out here in the US. And today we have no phone books, and Google is the big bad brother in the world, probably listening to this and making sure they can figure out a way to either monetize this discussion with you or shut it down if I get too crazy.
Yeah. So you've been in this time, you build a team. What is the most important thing you actually focused on? Because we know what brings the revenue. We talked about the bottom line of the business and the net profits in the business. Are you more focused into the operations? Are you focused more into getting more sales? Are you focused more into marketing, getting the word out about the business? What is it that you have the most focus on in your business?
So it's ever changing and always changing focus. Today, here I am 14 years into it. I was very focused for the last 3 months on improving our sales conversions because I was not the only sales guy. I have a sales team now, and I had to bring people in and then train them on all the different things we do. So I was very focused on sales. I'm now shifting out of that and focusing back on the operations. Trying to improve some things and make things a little bit more efficient in terms of profitability, but also being able to accept payments in the field and doing some of the stuff. So I'm doing a lot more today of what we would call admin work. So it's always changing. You think it's this, and then you get pulled back over there, and then you get pulled this way. And that's actually the beauty, I think, for me of running the business, is that I clearly have entrepreneurial ADD. I like jumping around everything.
That happens. There's an opportunity there or something out there. You go looking and hunting. That's what you do when there is something an opportunity to maybe take you to something bigger and grow. So from this, because you are focused, for example, in this period for sales, what are the processes that you do for sales? Like there are a lot of kind of sales from what I am seeing. There is the kind that you push the sales. There are the kind of what they call the relationship sales, the storytelling sales. So what type of form of sales are you using in your business to attract more customers and retain existing ones?
Yeah, great question. So 2 things. First, to attract more clients and get more leads, we do a combination of our web SEO, pay-per-click. We are in 3 print things that go out, but I also do a mix match of smaller networking advertising to grow the leads. Our leads have been steady for the last 3 years, which is where we want to be. We really got focused on the conversion of the leads. And what we use today in our sales conversion process is we use the DISC profile to understand, number one, how we interact with people, what our style is. And then if you're familiar with the DISC profile, it's putting people in behavior categories, extroverted, introverted, analytical, emotional, and then figuring out where you fit. But we use this as our part of our sales process to train our sales guys on how to identify the customer that's in front of you and try to figure out what we do. First is we go through a needs analysis with you in your house, figure out the problem, develop the potential solution, and then we'll give them the solution with pricing around there, and then ask for the business and start to work it. So we have a 10-step sales process.
Okay. That's very good. Actually, you're like putting your customers into multiple segments, maybe. So you will have the best possible customer that fits your business.
So we use it to identify good customers, but while our estimators are there, they're figuring out what these people want to hear. Sometimes the over emotional person doesn't want to hear about all the details. They just want to hear how much and when. And the over analytical person wants to hear every single detail of, in this case, we're doing a podcast. What are all the things you have to do a podcast? I want to see 1 through 55. And then some people just want to say, just click go, record, and let me do this thing. So we figure out that. And we figure out how to work with them to convert that sale. What we do to stay in front of customers is we do send out a newsletter. I have 16,000 customers today. We send out a newsletter every month, and we stay in front of them. And that newsletter I'm very proud of because I had somebody help me develop it. But we'll start out with a video for me, and then we'll hit on some things that are interesting around your house or some ideas that people can do. And our open rate on their newsletter has been phenomenal. We're in the 40% range, where typically in my business is around 18%. So that's how we keep people coming back. But the sales conversion is where I've really been focused, as you can't tell. That's why I can go on and on about it, because I've been working on it for the last 3 months.
Good. So let me ask you about this. For example, this newsletter, you are talking here about email marketing, right? For your business.
Yes.
So you mentioned you email once per month.
Yes.
So have you tested twice per month, 4 times per month, 1 time each week, or have you not tested that to see if different things change?
I didn't test like the A/B testing that people talk about. I didn't test the frequency. I was given advice that once a month was probably all that somebody would want to hear from a handyman. We did test things like video versus no video, external links to other interesting newsletters. And what I found was that the conversion or the open rates went up when I put more information in. And this is the classic thing of, if you inform your customer, they'll come back to you, and then you have an informed, educated customer that will probably buy from you, instead of you trying to hit them with the sales pitch right away. Hey, call the Trusted Toolbox. We'll come out and fix your house. Well, tell me what you're about. Oh, well, here's an idea for a home office. If you want to do something like this in your home office, take a look at these links. So we would link outside of our website, and I was worried about that. And what I found was open rate went up. The biggest A/B test that we did was video versus non-video. And when I had the video in there, that's when our open rate skyrocketed.
Yeah. So because of that, also your team has to work with these clients, right? So how did you train your team in regards to sales, operation, and marketing, and these steps, and integrating all of this to bring more, let's say, conversion into the business? Because we know that people in any business or organization need to have culture around the business itself. So how do you manage culture in your company, and how do you train them?
Great question. I'm a big proponent of culture, which is why I've even started a training company called the Home Service Institute, helping other home service companies train their technicians on customer service skills. But we also do that training for our first touch superstars. Those are the people who take the first phone call or the first email or the first chat through our website. And we talk about doing the same thing. It's a needs analysis. What do you need? Where do you live? How can we help you, since you've chosen us to come out and help you with your project? So we train them around the sales, and then we also incent them around booking appointments and selling upfront. And then obviously with the sales conversion, the on-site estimates that we talk about, how you convert that. So I'm a big proponent of culture, and I'll give you this phrase. You have a culture in your company, whether you know it or not. And you got to identify if your culture is one that you want to have, where everybody is self-directed and you're working up that pyramid of success. And by and large, I think I have a very good culture where we're in it together. It's a teamwork environment here in the office. Now, my handymen out in the field are more like lone wolves. They're artists out there, artists like pianists, and artists like portrait painters, and artists like guitar players and painters. But they know they're part of a team, and that team's helping them here in the office to go out there and do great things together. And by holding people accountable, that's where our culture has really taken a step up in terms of customer service and doing customer first service tasks.
So what do you mean about, or what is this lone wolf you talked about? Are you talking here about yourself, and the wolf pack is your employees?
Right. So let me tell you about my lone wolves. My lone wolves are handymen who either had a pickup truck or had a van, and they would go out and do the same work in people's houses, but they got tired of having to do all the paperwork, or finding more jobs or getting somebody to help them. But they really are a lone wolf. They were able to go out there and hunt and forage and take care of themselves and take care of their families. So we invite them into our wolf pack and let them know that with our wolf pack together we are mighty. And as long as you go out there and keep doing what you do in our wolf pack, you'll be able to make more money and hit your own personal and professional goals. Maybe spend some more time with your family. Maybe have some weekends where you can enjoy your family time.
Exactly. So I also read that on your website, I think, or your profile somewhere, that there is something called the vanity line and the sanity line. What's that exactly? Because I couldn't exactly define what's that in your business, or is it something that's about you and your team or yourself?
Oh, I love that one. So I told you that in the beginning, I was hitting my top line revenue number. That's my vanity line. Hey, Chris, how big you doing? Hey, man. And today we're on our way to being over a $5 million a year company. That's really cool. That's a big vanity line, huh? I'm looking pretty good, aren't I? Now there's the sanity line. How much of that am I keeping? Well, my sanity line was pretty bad. In fact, it was an insanity line. It was too low. I wasn't making enough for the amount of money I was bringing in. So my vanity line is how big of a company I am. My sanity line is how much am I actually keeping for myself and my own family. So that's the difference between vanity line and sanity line.
Yeah. So this difference, are you focused on the end number, that the exact number, the profit clear that you get out of the last month, or are you, when you target in sales, for example, do you focus on, guys, this month net profit revenue is this number? This is what you're focusing on the revenue, or you focus more on the net profit?
We focus, and this is going to be the wrong answer. I focus more on the top line, the revenue. It's a sexier number to talk about with the team, as long as we're hitting it there. We do have profitability reports that we do, and we look at those once a month. So we do take a look at what we call the gross profit is, because most of these guys can't control how much I spend on advertising or how much I spend for electricity and water here in the office, but they can focus on, this is how much the job revenue brought in, and this is what I'm going to get paid on it, and these are the materials I'm going to use for this job. And as long as that gross profit on that job looks correct, then we know we've done well. So I don't have I probably don't have the best focus on the net, but I do have a real hyper focus on the top line. And then next number is gross profit, because that's the number that can change and can get affected by change.
Yeah. So let me ask you here, because you're working with your team, what have you learned from one of them or some of them that was positive for you personally, or impacted the business positively?
Wow, too many to name, but I'll give you this one. I am a very fast-paced guy. I do have that ADD in me where I'll run around and I'll do things 100 miles an hour. That phrase, I don't know where I'm going, but I'm going to get there fast. I was good that way. So good advice that I have, and my kind of my number two guy is really my steady Eddie, and that's his name, Ed. He is the one who slows me down. He's my governor. He's the one who says, whoa, 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 hang on there, tough guy. You just said something and nobody understood what you were talking about. And you're about to walk out of the room and we have no idea what we're supposed to do. And he's the one who really helped me slow down and helped me be much more self-aware of my impact on others and how I was doing it. So I use him as kind of my mirror, my sounding board. And the one today, before I was gonna spout off on somebody and find out why they wanted to do something this way when I wanted it to be done that way, he said, why don't you have them come up with the idea and then you can help customize it? That way you guys are both invested. I'm like, that's a great point.
Yeah. If the team comes out with the idea, I actually had a recent episode when we are talking, for example, about customer success. We want our employees to have, let's say, an idea, an input, because if everything comes from the founder or the owner, they might not be 100% encouraged or motivated to certain things, right? But if it comes from certain employees or ideas from one or how much, two, three, four of them, so they will be more motivated to accomplish the goal.
Yeah, you said it very well, and I agree with you, because that is one thing when you look back personally. What are things that you are most proud of? Well, in my case, one of the things I'm most proud of is that I started a business and I earned the right to say I'm successful today and I can take a break. If I just tell them what to do every day, but they don't go out there and have a vested interest and earn it, then they're not as proud of their work that they're doing. They didn't get to share in the pride because they were just told to do this. And just because they executed what I told them to do doesn't make them have that pride and that ownership in it. So you're right. Doing that has really improved performance, and I've got to remember that more. So I just learned something from you too. I got to keep doing that better.
Yeah. So what's something that you did or told your team to do that you might be a success, whether it's in whatever aspect of the business it is, and it turned out not a success, it failed, and how did you deal with that?
Yeah. So I asked the ladies in my office to come up with the new sales process and scripts for the call center. And so they were ladies, and I asked them to do it. And I took off and I went out there and I went selling again. I sold for 5 days, and I'd come in at the end of the day each day and do my thing. And we had a meeting that next Monday. And when I got together with them, they didn't do one thing. And I got mad. I'm like, what are you guys doing? What the hell? I told you guys had to do this. And they said, we didn't understand that's what you wanted us to do. So I thought I had got them invested in the process in the beginning, but I didn't. I didn't ask and didn't direct to help them be successful. And along with the DISC profile, one of the things that we were just implementing the DISC profile for me to understand how to communicate better with people, I realized that I was communicating very quickly and very high level with people who needed details slowed down and written. And so I went back to the drawing board, gave them the outline of what I wanted, told them a little bit more, and then they were able to fill in the details. And now today they feel very successful about that.
So what do you think one of the biggest, let's say, aha moments that you discovered recently in your business, or even back when you started back in 2008?
Biggest aha moments. I probably have them every week. But biggest aha, was probably with COVID. When COVID first started, again, this is a worldwide problem, right? We all had to deal with it.
Yeah.
And I remember on March 9th, a guy didn't come to my office. We were supposed to meet. He was a consultant, and we're going to talk about some stuff. And he said, I can't, my business is going to be shut down. I'm not sure what to do with it. I got to think about it. And I'm not sure I want to come to your house because this COVID to your office because this COVID thing's bad. And I'm like, man, dude, you're like Chicken Little. Slow down, man. This ain't going to be that bad. How bad can it be? And on March 16th, literally 7 days later, I was shutting down my business. I was laying off people. I was basically staring at not shutting down my business, but not knowing where I was going to be. Now, what happened in my business is I became an essential workforce because we were working in people's houses as things were breaking. So we were able to continue. Only 2 months after March 16th in May, we have a holiday here called Memorial Day. And the governor of Georgia put out an edict and said that I'm not going to tell people they have to stay home anymore. You have to follow the right procedures, but you can go out and start doing your business as long as you do it correctly and safely. And from then on, people were working from home. And what do? We work in people's homes. So we were putting in offices and we were putting in extra doors. We were putting in insulation doors, which people had to work from their house.
How did you feel when the COVID started at the time when you felt like you might be losing your business? How was that emotionally into you?
Yeah, there is a movie out there called Dr. Strangelove. And at the end of that movie, there is a famous scene where the guy is riding a bomb like a cowboy down and he's waving his hands in the air going, woohoo. And I felt like I was going to be riding I had just ridden this guy all the way up, this guy being the trusted toolbox. And I was going to have to admit that I'm going to have to ride him down. How far? I don't know. So I did something with some good counseling on that as I cut very deeply and very quickly. I actually sacrificed my net pretty well, but obviously off a lot smaller base. They also did something here in the U.S. called the Payment Forgiveness Act. And if I brought everybody back, I could get a loan that would be forgiven if I brought people back and kept them on my payroll. So I was able to bring people back in 2 months too, which is also really cool.
Yeah, that's amazing actually.
Yeah,
Because to me, in general, like you, you know how it is in banking, for example, when big corporation wants to cut cost, the first thing they do mostly in general, they cut out usually the small guys, the small employees, not the big ones.
right.
and and they don't give them their job back when the opportunity comes knocking back. Oh, okay, we are now in a better situation. Come on, come on, guys, back and have your jobs back. So
Yeah.
that does not happen.
No, that was very exciting for me to be able to do that. I've kept the nucleus around, which has been great. So that was the aha moment that I was able to actually ride that storm out. And that was probably the biggest aha that I've had as of recently. Other ones, we're still continually solving problems. That's what I do every day when I wake up. It's just, okay, it's time to solve some problems again today. Let's go get it going. That's what you're here for. And you love it.
Yeah, the problems is what makes any business grow. What do you think about that? Because if we don't have any problems dealing with customers or in our own operations, in our sales or marketing departments, if problems doesn't exist, companies won't grow.
Exactly right. Problems are getting yourself out of your comfort zone. But if it was easy, anybody could do it. That's that phrase. You've heard it. So if you can solve a problem better than other people can solve a problem, then you got a business advantage, and that business advantage can help you be unique. And solving people's problems is a great, unique thing to do.
Yeah. So from your own perspective, when you started the business, it was chaotic times, right? So what would you say to people who want to start their own businesses? Like now, a lot of people talking now, it's about the recession and these kind of things. A lot of people in the US had what they call the Great Resignation, right? A lot of people quit their jobs for certain reasons. What would you say to someone who wants to start their own business? What is it that they should look for? How they should find their opportunity? Because now there are a lot of opportunities, but so the problem is, like you mentioned, we are sometimes people when they want to do something, they are all over the place. They don't know where to put their attention on. So what's your advice on how to start a business?
So first, I would say go out and get a business plan template, and you got to generate ideas. Maybe you have the next great idea. Maybe you're going to launch the next rocket into space. Maybe you're going to go into a very mundane business, and maybe you're just going to open up a retail store selling alcohol, whatever that may be. If you have an idea that somebody has already thought of and you have to do it, use the business plan to figure out, number one, how are you going to attract people to this business? Number two, how are you going to convert them to do business with you? Number three, how are you going to operate and do that so that you have a winning customer experience? And number four, how are you going to either hire people or put the right processes and technology in place to be able to scale the way you want to scale? And lastly, got to do the right pro forma. And if you're not doing that, you're not doing it right. And I've had somebody since tell me, if somebody would have challenged me with this, I was so optimistic about starting my business that I probably would have made this work. But here's the phrase: if you can take the income or the top line number that you think you have and cut it in half, and then you can take the bottom line number of what you get to keep, your vanity goes in half, your sanity goes in half. If you can deal with all that, and you can deal with your expenses being double what you thought and your top line being half of what you thought, and you can still have a business, then you got something that's worth pursuing. Go get it done.
Yeah, that's very important. So in your own business now, what are some of the tools or resources that you are using between yourself and your employees? Do you use certain resources or tools, whether it's online or offline?
So I have a CRM system, which is the backbone of our company. It's vended by a company called Bonago. When a lead comes in, we capture the lead, the account information, the data necessary. From that, we can schedule either a technician to do the job or the on-site estimate. From that, we can do our billing and invoicing. And then we summary report everything to QuickBooks, and we use QuickBooks Online. Right now, all of my data, our email is with Office 365. So we're today 98% all cloud-based. The only 2% would be my operations manual that I house here on a server, some photos of the work we do, and some other marketing materials that we have.
So yourself as a business owner, do you think, or do you yourself read books, for example? And if you do read certain books, what's your favorite if you have one?
Well, of course, I love my own book. Shameless plug for the Zoo of the Wild. No. So probably my favorite book is going to be the E-Myth Principle, where Michael Gerber breaks down the difference between an entrepreneur, a manager, and a technician, in those three roles. From a sales perspective, what I've done with my sales guys, the guys I've been focusing on these last 3 months, is where I developed my 10-step sales process is from a book called The First 100 Days of In-Home Selling by Jim Ryerson. And in that book, we're actually doing book club. So once a week in our sales meeting, we're going to go through a couple chapters, and it's broken down by days. So we read 5 or 6 days at a time and talk about them and debate them and try to get ourselves better. So that's been a great book for us as well.
That's amazing. So let me ask you this final question here. What do you think one takeaway for this episode could be? Just one thing for people who want to start a business to start like right now.
Start right now. If you want to start your business, go get a business plan template and start using that, because it's going to help organize your thoughts. And if you do that and start to target people who can answer questions, here's one big secret that I will tell you that now I know. And that is, other people in the business that you may go enter will probably be okay sharing information with you, which was also something we never did in corporate America. But they're okay with sharing information with you, because we all know this is really hard. And if I tell you everything I'm doing, it's not the secret sauce. The secret sauce is all about you problem solving and doing things and having to implement it. So go out there and ask other people who are in that business with your business plan and ask them good pointed questions.
There is no secret sauce. It's just, like you mentioned, it could be a plan, and doing the plan until it works. Going left, going right, modifying and amending the plan until it actually works and you reach your destination. There's no secret to success, right?
That's right. Yeah, your path to success is not linear. It is all over the board.
Yeah, but you just have to have like like a big goal to reach it. That you have to do and keep pursuing it.
Yep. Relentless pursuit is also something that you got to have as an entrepreneur. You have to have the stick-to-itiveness, the perseverance, the optimism, the problem solving. You've got to have it.
Good. So, Chris, where can people get in touch with you if they want to learn more about you?
Yeah, I'd love for people to get in touch with me. You can go out there and you can follow me on LinkedIn, Chris Lalomia. That's Lalomia. There's not many of us out there. I'm on Instagram. I'm the customerservice.freak because I'm all into customer service. You can find me that way, or you can just email me, chris@thetrustedtoolbox.com, because we're the Trusted Toolbox and the Home Service Institute here in Atlanta.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you, Chris, for being here today with me on this episode of the SuccessGrid podcast. Great insights.
All right. I enjoyed it. Yeah, really. I had a lot of fun.